Okay, so I have got a new toy. It's called a visualizer. There's the corner of it there, and I can draw on here, which is perfect for this little task because some of you were saying you weren't entirely sure how to go about doing this. Now, as I did in the last live stream, I'm going to show you how, again, to draw out the basic shape of it. If you want to go for the slightly side-on view that would be taken by the drone, you're drawing your S shape like that, and you're drawing another S shape like that. Then over this side, we're doing a curve and another curve, a curve and another curve. Okay, so that's your basic shape of the layout of the land. Now, you can get that either from the video or from the GIS map that is linked from the video itself. Into Google Classroom. Maybe it's my pen running out of ink. I'm going to have to pause the video and recharge the pen. Okay, so that's me good to go again. So yes, these are just the hills, and nearly good to go again. Just the hills in the background there. Anyway, that takes some time for things to come through a little bit. Right, now what you're looking at here then is the slope. So these lines will show the steepness of the slope. So you're drawing on something like that to show the steepness of the slope here. It really is quite steep, and then here's your slope here. The slope on this side of the valley is not quite as steep, but it's still a pronounced slope like so, right? That then is your basic shape that I'm wanting you to do. Again, using the information that's available to you on the video or from the GIS map, you're able to draw in this shape of the river. Goes in something like that and round there, and then you've got the river coming off the top of the higher bit here, falls down there as the waterfall, and then comes in to this. Now, what I'm then looking for you to do is to add annotation to these kinds of things. Now, here's my dilemma. I could show you what to do, but then once I've shown you what to do, you might just want to copy it. Please, don't. I want to give you an indication here, but please don't. So what I'll want to do is start to annotate in some of the features. This is the Dunisland Water. We'll go in here, and up here you have got the Glenoid Water. And just at this point here you have got the Glenoid Waterfall. So you can mark some of those on, and then this is the Glyn River here as they join together. Now, a couple of other things that you want to mark on. This is clearly a confluence here. So really what I'm hoping that you'll do is just really begin to spot a lot of the features that you would expect to be finding here along the floodplain. As many of these features in here as you can get. This is tributary, that kind of thing. Now, of course, you see what's happening with all of this. The more I do, the less there is for you to think about. But so it's those kinds of things. I'm really looking for you to have an opportunity to show the many things that we've picked up on so far. But particularly, I'm interested in some of these processes that are going on. Now, the process for the formation of this floodplain here. Now you can see if I take my colouring pencils and say shade in something like that, that's the top of the higher ground there, and then you have the higher ground going up like that there. So you can do this more neatly. I'm just doing it roughly for illustration purposes for you here, right? Then as you come into the base of this, you have a flatter area like so. Flatter area of the floodplain. Be a gentle dip in towards the centre, so you can see that line is slightly curved because of the gentle dip in towards the centre, that kind of thing. And then you have here, we'll get another wee colour and pencil. Let's go for darker colour because this is a steeper slope, and we're going to pretend this is in shadow, that kind of thing. Right, so there you go. That's the basic layout of it. Now, what I can then do is say, let's say I want to show how vertical erosion is taking place. Well, I can take a line across here, down here to the river valley, back up here. So this is kind of like what you did in your GIS tasks. This is the profile here of the river. Again, I'd want to annotate that on. So here we have the river profile. And now what I want to do is add on some annotation to show exactly the processes that have been producing that. Now, clearly what we have here clearly is some vertical erosion having taken place here. The river has eroded down vertically at this point from the surrounding land, this land here and this land here that's higher. The river has eroded vertically. Now, why has it eroded vertically here? What is it that's causing that? Of course, we have running down here the fault line. Now again, you can add more annotation on to this. I'm just going to indicate it here now as a fault line. You can add on that fault line and you can explain, just not appeared there in the bottom of the video, let me try again. Fault line, you can explain how that was formed. If you remember, it was formed whenever Ireland was splitting apart from North America about 60 million years ago, and all of those tectonic forces created that fault there. Now the fault has allowed for the river to erode more easily and more readily down here, right? So why did it erode here and not here or here? This fault line. So that's why you're getting so much vertical erosion here. So I'm not going to write the annotation on there, but that's how you can then explain that annotation, or explain that process through the annotation. Now, the second thing is, not only do you have the river profile here, this would be your kind of your cross-section profile, but you've also got the river not just doing vertical erosion, but you've also got the river doing lateral erosion, because it is eroded back here and it's eroded back here. Now, again, what you want to be doing is thinking of why that is the case, because as well as eroding vertically downwards here, the creation of the floodplain also involves lateral erosion. Now, if you remember, that's because over time this river weaves all around about the place. You remember that what I talked about was setting a rope in between two sets of Smarties, moving the rope from side to side, and the rope would weave around, pushing the Smarties back, This is like a snapshot, but this river is constantly changing, it's constantly eroding. If you remember from the video, I showed you a little meander loop, and it was around about here, meander from video. And in that meander from the video, you saw the outside of the bend being eroded. You saw the river cliff. You saw it being the notch eroded out. You saw that lateral erosion. So you're seeing evidence of the erosion, but over time that waves it back. So you can explore that. You can explain how that lateral erosion has pushed back this side of the valley here to create that steeper side, and this side here to create the steeper side. Okay, so that is your floodplain. You'll want to indicate that that's what we're looking at here as well. That's the floodplain, how the floodplain was produced here. And then the final thing is to take a wee look at the Glenoid Waterfall. Now, for the Glenoid Waterfall, what's significant here then is your geology that's occurring. So the upland area here is basalt, which was laid down on top of limestone, sedimentary rock, which was laid down on top of what you've got down here in the floodplain, mudstone. Again, you can lay this out as you want. I really don't want you just to copy what I'm doing here from this video, is to give you a bit of an idea. So you've got basalt on top of limestone on top of mudstone. So that's why you have the particular fall of the waterfall at this point. Because if I take this little section here and I come out here and draw a diagram, right? Here I have the top of the waterfall, and then I have the notch and the plunge pool, and I come back around again, and that's a little bit of here in this waterfall. Now in this particular location, we now know from this particular location what the top of this consists of. Right, the top of it is basalt. Remember, basalt is an igneous rock, so basalt will be harder. It's a very, very dark grey black rock. So again, this is allowing you to kind of connect back to what we did right back at the start when we did rock types. Sitting over the top of, or sitting underneath that, is your limestone. Your limestone is a whitish grey rock. It's a sedimentary rock formed whenever Ireland was at the bottom of tropical oceans. Layer upon layer of sea creature building up over time. Now what happens here is the river flows over the top, and because you've got this drop down, you've got this vertical drop here as the river floodplain is being eroded out. This is the perfect conditions here for this waterfall to form, and especially because you have got harder rock overlaying softer rock. The basalt is your harder rock, and the igneous rock, and your limestone is your softer rock. It's a sedimentary rock. And again, you can add annotation on there to show what's happening with that. So let's just recap, make sure that we've got everything covered. There's my waterfall. So I've covered that as one of the features we're looking at. There's my floodplain. Covered that as one of the features we're looking at. I'll just write this in bigger writing here. There is my meander. The features of that. So again, what you might want to do with that is to pull this out and do me, you know, we've already got a kind of an overview of that one, so why don't we do a cross-sectional view for that one as well. And you can use the video to give you a little bit of a help with that, to remind yourself of what the meander is going to look like. And what you've got here is your river cliff, and there's your little notch in there, and there's your slip-off slope, that kind of thing. And you can put in your water here again, and you can show here that this is where the deposition is occurring, the deposited sediment on the slip-off slope. And again, you can add on some annotation there that can explain some of those processes. So the waterfall is covered, the floodplain and the annotation for it is covered, and the meander is covered. Those are the things that we're doing, plus any other bits and pieces that you want to pull in from earlier on. So you reference your confluence, your reference back to your fault line, your reference back to your different rock types and what you know about them. This really is an opportunity for you to show off a great understanding of the, not just the river processes that are operating to form the features, but a number of the other river things that are going on, plus even back to some of the geology. Right, there you go. I hope that that's giving you a bit more of a steer with this, and I hope that that helps you to complete it, and I really can't wait to see what you produce.